Please do not hesitate to put your questions in the chat box. We will address all of them after the webinar completes. After the webinar, we will also follow up with all of you about recorded webinar link and also information links, as well as PowerPoint slides. With that, I will quickly turn over my microphone to Emily.
Good morning, good evening. Hello from Taiwan. Elisa, did you want me to do remarks right now or presentation and remarks? Either is fine.
Yeah, both, and I can share the screen.
Yes, if you would mind sharing the screen. I'll give a quick introduction and then if you don't mind sharing the screen. I'm Emily Scott. I'm the director of the Agricultural Trade Office in Taiwan. We are the branch of the U.S. Department of Agriculture who represents the USDA farmers, ranchers overseas. We're the diplomatic branch. We focus on trade policy, but trade promotions, and that is what I do in Taiwan. The agricultural trade offices, for those of you who work with USDA overseas, ATOs are essentially the marketing branch, the promotional branch. So we are concerned with really the products that are already in the market, how to expand US market share through promotional activities, consumer outreach, and so on. So today I'm going to just talk a little bit about the Taiwan market, including the market in general and where we see some opportunities for US products, especially Washington State. I do think Washington State has immense potential in Taiwan. Just the products that Washington produces really do meet what Taiwan consumers are looking for and where we see some trends going. So go ahead, Elisa. Do I do next slide? Okay, perfect. This is just an overview of my office, and you can see ATO there. On the other side, we have Deputy Chief Eric Single. Those are the individuals who are doing trade policy. So we have an office that both focuses on trade policy, market expansion, getting the products into Taiwan unencumbered with favorable rates and duties, but also favorable testing. And then we take over on the ATO side to really promote those products to the consumers. Okay. Go ahead. Next. So just, I think, basic geography about Taiwan. I think this kind of helps understand what Taiwan is about as far as a market. And basically, big picture, Taiwan is a very populated island with very little farming. It's only about ag land is only about 22% of all the land. And of that, agriculture only makes up about 2%, I think, of overall, of the economy overall. Taiwan is, if you've never been here, it is super mountainous. There's about, I think, 130 peaks over 3,000 meters, which is 9,000 feet. So really the whole island is essentially taken over by either huge mountains or huge cities. So really Taiwan consumers need products because they simply don't have the farmland to produce them. Okay. So this is kind of repeating that message. The average farm size in Taiwan is only about 2.5 acres. So again, they're really dependent on imports. Up in the upper right-hand side there, we see Taiwan's self-sufficiency rate. It's about 30%. So of the products they're consuming, they need to be importing about 70% of those. And farming makes up a pretty small percent of the overall economy here. Okay. So these are the US markets. Taiwan is actually the 8th largest US agricultural market, and that is great. We always say that Taiwan kind of punches above its weight. They are a good trading partner, and they are a transparent market compared to some of the other markets we may perhaps see on that list, and I'm not gonna point any fingers. But transparency, a contract is a contract here. This is an easier market to do business in than perhaps some of those other trading partners. And we often say that it is essentially a springboard to the rest of Asia. Okay. So these are some issues and areas of opportunity and some more explanation about Taiwan market. Last year, the United States and Taiwan signed an organic equivalency agreement. And that essentially means that products labeled as organic in the United States. So if your farmers are working so hard to achieve that USDA organic label that is so valuable, That label is then appropriately applied in Taiwan. And also this agreement kind of facilitates the export and the exchange of products into Taiwan. So it is now easier to export organic products to Taiwan, and we see immense opportunities in the organic market. On the beef picture there, we have recently expanded market access for US beef over 30 months of age, as well as pork. We are not seeing pork in the market yet. That is a pretty contentious political issue, but we are optimistic and we continue to believe in the strength of our Taiwan trading partners and in the Taiwan consumers. But it is a great, huge, wonderful, engaging beef market. Beef is selling really well here from tip to tip, basically. In the bottom of that slide, you go back. In the bottom of that slide, no problem. You can just kind of see where Taiwan continues to be a top 10 market for so many commodities. It is the #1 market for fluid milk. And a lot of that is being driven actually by Taiwan's coffee culture. Taiwan is surprisingly a huge coffee drinking culture. So that is a lot of American dairy going into your lattes. Also, it is a great big growing market for US poultry, lobsters, beef, fresh fruit. Taiwan is the #1 consumer of fresh fruit per capita in the world. So I know that Washington State apples are doing really well here, and we're excited to see that. Okay. So this is just a little bit more about what our office, the USDA ATO agricultural offices, do in Taiwan. For instance, last year we've released $11 million of stuck shipments at the port. For 2 trade shows, the USA was the largest foreign national pavilion recently. We are expanding the already $600 million market for US beef and pork. Again, the organic equivalency agreement. So these are just things that USDA is doing for farmers and ranchers overseas. We always do want to emphasize that we're here. We're here to resolve those shipment issues. If you have a shipment stuck at port, we're here. If you have organic products and you're interested in learning about the market, we're here. We've done a lot recently in like the craft beer area and hope to continue to do more. So as you're interested in these products, please feel free to reach out to our office. That is why we're here, and that's what we do. Okay. Next. Go ahead. Okay, perfect. So here are just these are basically the products that we see in Taiwan. These are the consumer products, so we're not talking about the bulk commodities. We're not talking about beef or soy, or excuse me, we're not talking about corn or wheat or soybeans here. But really, you can see how much market space beef and beef products is taking up, and there continues to be room to grow. Fresh fruit, also huge here. In a lot of these, I would absolutely say most of these have yet to really meet their full potential in the Taiwan market, and that extends to beef, fruit, poultry, prepared foods and snacks. Taiwan is a snack consuming culture. If you go to the grocery store, it's about 4 aisles of snack foods and processed products. Tree nuts are doing well, like in other countries where kind of at-home baking is taken off. So we see a lot of tree nuts going into that, and interest in healthy snacks. So this is kind of where we are, and I do see room to grow in essentially all of those product categories. Okay. This trend, you may not think it's as interesting as it is actually, but so what we're seeing really here is rice over wheat, or wheat over rice consumption. So Taiwan obviously produces enough rice. They produce enough rice. They're self-sufficient in their, obviously, the Asian diet. But what we saw here in about 2009 is that actually wheat consumption overtook rice consumption. And we would point to that as an indicator of Taiwan interest in a Western style diet. So that extends to, for instance, like pastas, breads, a lot of pastries. You see a lot of pastries here. So this is just an indicator where we continue to see possibilities for Western style foods as indicated by this kind of interesting product trend. Okay. Consumption trends. Taiwan historically is not a beef consuming culture, but we have certainly seen that take off in recent years. And again, still room to grow. Poultry, Taiwan has a poultry industry here, but it is actually a huge growing market for the US poultry industry. Pork continues to be more or less the #1 per capita consumed meat, but we do see that declining. Okay. So best prospect categories. And I would say this is actually a pretty limited list of the best products because I think there's potential in Taiwan for a variety of products. I would have to, I'm harder pressed to find things that won't do well in the market as opposed to the products that I think have possibilities. So snacking, Taiwan consumers snack. It's pretty impressive. They almost eat around the clock. I don't understand it, but we're happy to see it. Fruit, again, highest per capita consumer of fruit in the world. A lot of that is US products. Lots and lots of apples. Apples do really well here, especially like the big, beautiful apples from Washington State. Organic proteins, beef and poultry, dairy, cheese. We're trying to kind of introduce Taiwan consumers to cheese, and I think there's great opportunities there. Seafood, gooey duck from Washington State is selling very well here. It's a delicacy, as is lobster and crab. We just had a US seafood promotion and featured a lot of Seattle area seafood products, including crab. Also in here, I would definitely put spirits, beer, and hops. And I saw Jackie Brophy from US Hops Association, and she and I have been in contact on several cool projects in Taiwan. Taiwan craft beer is growing, and they're using US hops and they're using US inputs, and they want more. And so that's why we're here. Okay. Taiwan consumers are really drawn to convenience, just like the rest of the world. One thing that I haven't mentioned yet, perhaps you know, but the COVID pandemic essentially has bypassed Taiwan. We didn't really have issues with it. We're extraordinarily fortunate, and we know that. But one result of there were still, health and safety concerns. People were still cautious, and as a result of that, we did see an increase in e-retail. Again, for the convenience. So our office will very, very soon be putting out a report on e-retail opportunities, so selling products online, including food and beverages. So that is an interesting opportunity, and we are working with some WSDA states on the possibility for e-retail promotion. Also with convenience, we have convenience stores. Taiwan has the second highest, per capita concentration of convenience stores. By that, I mean like 7-Elevens in the world. So you really can see here in this picture, all the ready to eat foods, processed products, and snacks that are available at every 7-Eleven. I can go out my door and I can turn left and go, 50 yards to the 7-Eleven, or I can turn right and go 50 yards to the Family Mart. So lots of opportunities there to get into the market and sell directly to consumers. Okay. Costco, so Costco, Taiwan is home to some of the best performing Costcos in the world. That looks like a busy store. That is an average day at Costco. Huge, just bananas. Really strong opportunities for US consumer or US exporters who can break into that Costco market. And we have had successes with US exporters meeting with Costco and getting their products there to the to Costco consumers. And if you do, you've got a healthy queue of customers. It really is, it's extraordinary. So not the place you maybe want to be on Saturday, but they sure seem to love it. Eating out. So quick, Taiwan, especially in the city, tend to have pretty small apartments, small kitchens. Eating with friends and families outside your home is definitely a thing here. It's a cultural thing, even aside from COVID. So we see here just how often people are eating outside their homes. So that can be food delivery services as well, but there's a lot of opportunity at from everything from white tablecloth restaurants where you see the steaks to the snacking at lunch and even just the 7-Elevens. Okay. One thing I want to point out here, and going back to some of the opportunities our office provides, if you're not familiar with our reporting network, it is how we, the USDA, the Foreign Agricultural Service, provide information from our overseas offices. So it is the GAIN system, Global Ag Information Network. So if you just Google FAS GAIN, it'll take you right here. And you can search by commodity, you can search by country, you can search by general export assistance, and reports will come up that it's all the reports that, for instance, my office generates, talking about for pecan market opportunities in Taiwan, craft beer opportunities in Taiwan, as well as exporter guides to kind of guide you into what exporting to Taiwan may look like. Again, this is for all countries around the world. So anywhere that you're interested in, I would put in a plug for this system. It is really useful. Go ahead. And of course, follow us on social media. This is our newly launched United Tastes in Taiwan social media campaign. We are on Facebook and Instagram, and we are pulling content from our cooperator partners all around Taiwan and promoting it out to our Taiwan audience. Social media is very well received here. Similar to e-retail, people are extremely internet savvy. And so this is how our office is now trying to reach consumers. In the lower right-hand corner there, you see promotions for our recent craft beer festival. Did really well, introduced a lot of US craft beer to Taiwan consumers. Okay, I think that's about it. And just give us a call if you ever need anything. We're always here and we will get back to you. So thank you very much. Absolutely. If you have any questions about the Taiwan market, market trends, policy, tariffs, trade, anything, that's what we do. We're absolutely here for you guys. So let us know how we can help. And thank you. Thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you, Emily. It's really great. I appreciate the time you've given us.
Not at all. Easy.
Yeah. Please feel free to stay on or pop out. Yeah, thank you. For companies, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact Taiwan ATO, Emily, or her staff, and we will also share her slides with all of you after the webinar. Thank you, Emily, again. And next, moving on to Director General Daniel Chen from Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Seattle. Thank you, Director General. Please take it away.
Sure. Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. I think Emily already covered what I was trying to say right now. So I just want to kind of give you a brief introduction about my offices. So my office, the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Seattle, is one of the 12 offices in the U.S. And we are responsible for the bilateral relations between Taiwan and the Pacific Northwest. So we also cover Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, and Alaska. So right now we are located in Seattle. So we engage with the Washington State government agency, including WSDA and Department of Commerce. And also we talk a lot with the state legislature for further promote and enhance the relations between Taiwan and Washington State and the United States. So I think Emily just covered about the trade relations between Taiwan and Washington State, and also the kind of a changing diet of Taiwanese people. So and also she covered that the organic product going to be probably a huge potential in the future Taiwan's market. So we are really glad to see more trade between Taiwan and Washington State. And I mean, starting from this year, we are also happy to see Sean to be appointed as your representative of Washington State, assigned by WSDA and also Department of Commerce. So I know Sean for a long time, and with his experiences and knowledge, surely he can definitely serve your interest in the Asia Pacific. Of course, if you try to expand your market in Asia Pacific, Sean is the best person I know. So I'm really glad to see Sean again. So again, kudos on Washington State of Department of Commerce and also Department of Agriculture. So put it together at this webinar. So if anything, my office can be of assistance, let us know. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director General. Please feel free to stay with us and then or pop out, and we'll be more than happy to have you in our future activities. Thank you so much for your time. And moving on to our next important speaker, Sean. Sean, please take it away.
Good morning from Taipei. Good afternoon to everyone in Seattle. It's an honor to be here at this webinar. Thank you very much to Lisa for organizing this. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you to help you expand into the Taiwan market. I also want to thank Emily Scott. She's being very humble. Her and her team have done a phenomenal job, and she's only been on the job for a very short time now, but they are an amazing resource. And I would encourage you, any of the trade associations, ag commissions, to reach out to them, to work with them. They've developed a lot of new amazing initiatives, which I would encourage you to take advantage of. So let me go ahead and share my screen and get my presentation underway. Okay, great. So actually, I think Emily's already covered the main highlights, so I'm going to cut this really brief. No. So the Taiwan market, she mentioned some very interesting statistics, and that is the fact that U.S. or wheat consumption has exceeded rice consumption on a per capita basis. This is actually a very interesting development, but we've seen a dramatic change in the Taiwan diet. First thing I want to also mention is the fact that Taiwan's the 5th largest economy in Asia. So it's ranked 21 in the world, but within Asia, it's the 5th largest economy. And if you account for purchasing power parity, it's 54,000. So they have a lot of income here, a lot of disposable income. And that's why they're more than willing to spend on imported products here in Taiwan. COVID has helped to accelerate this trend on spending towards premium products. And so that's something that I would encourage more companies to take advantage of, this trend towards US branded goods, the higher quality products that we have to offer this market. Something else I want to point out, which Emily touched on, and that is COVID. So Taiwan during COVID, in 2020, was one of the few large economies to actually grow. So this is actually quite significant. While most economies were tanking, Taiwan's economy was actually the fastest growing economy in the world. They've raised their forecast for 2021. So net positive for US exporters. The economy continues to grow and the consumers continue to spend. Likewise, the COVID crisis has helped to actually accelerate some trade and investment flows. And what we're seeing is that there's a lot of investment from companies in Taiwan, which is leading to rising wages, which in net is going to be a positive for consumption and purchases. A significant trend that you need to be aware of is the demographics. By 2026, they expect Taiwan to become a super age society. That's where they reach 20% of their population over the age of 65. What that means is that there's going to be more awareness and demand for nutritional, healthy products. And so the US has an advantage here. A lot of US products, US goods are seen as being healthy, offering a lot of nutrition. And so that's one significant trend that you need to think about as you're positioning and choosing the kind of products that you want to market in this consumer group. Likewise, another segment is the childless couples. Taiwanese are getting married later, and if they are getting married, they're less likely to have kids. In fact, Taiwan is either the #1 or #2 lowest birth rate in the world, something like 0.89. You need 2.1 to actually replace and sustain your population. So that's a huge challenge. And what's that leading to is packaging. You'll notice that a lot of stores now are offering smaller packaging. A lot of stores are also taking on smaller footprints for their retail outlets. So this will be a factor for you as you think about how you want to ship and package your products and market it to that segment of the population. I won't go into the general stats. I think Emily's already kind of covered some of that. But post-COVID, Taiwan is going to continue to be a good market, and stable market for U.S. agricultural food products. So the three main sectors, food processing, food retail, food service, is where you're mainly going to be selling your ag products into. And so as you think about the products, I think Emily's already highlighted some of the key advantages and key products that we can sell into this market. I do want to point out that overall, the advantages that we have in the U.S. is that, oops, sorry, excuse me. In the U.S. is that the U.S. brand is quite strong. Consumers recognize the excellence of U.S. products. They're willing to pay a premium for that. They're very brand conscious, so there's a lot of brand recognition. The fact that ATO now has a United Taste program, that's a great way to leverage the U.S. brand as you're marketing your Washington products here in Taiwan. There's also continued growth in fast food and fast casual dining, and that should be a positive trend for U.S. and Washington ag exports to Taiwan. Some of the challenges, though, that we're going to face, and you'll see from this chart, the EU, New Zealand, Japan, Australia are competitors for consumer-oriented products. So pricing is going to be a challenge. So Taiwan has signed an FTA with 10 economies, including New Zealand. So that's going to be a significant threat and challenge to dairy products, some fresh fruit and meat products in this market. Likewise, some US exporters may be facing challenges with respect to product specifications to comply with Taiwan requirements or consumer preferences. So that's something you'll need to keep in mind. Another issue is that sometimes you'll be approached by companies that want low volume consolidated shipments. And I know for a lot of US companies, that can be a challenge. So that's something you need to keep in mind as you think about some of the barriers to marketing in this consumer segment. So to help you navigate, of course, what's going to be key is working and finding that agent, that importer, who can help you navigate the regulatory environment and handle all the shipping and quarantine issues. The two main bodies, the Ministry of Health and Welfare is responsible for food safety. Taiwan's FDA is responsible for border customs inspections and labeling. So for a lot of you doing fresh fruits, produce, phytosanitary certificates are important. We had a company that wanted to send just a couple of samples of potatoes. That's also going to require phytosanitary certificates as well. Product labeling, they're very strict about that. Expect to label everything if it's going to end up on a retail shelf, okay? And it must be translated into Mandarin. English labeling is an option, but these are some of the basic issues that you need to keep in mind. Furthermore, in addition to ATO, I would encourage you to work closely with regional trade associations. So with respect to Washington State, that would be USADA. I know they work closely with ATO. They work with a lot of other trade associations to organize missions or to receive missions. But they're a great resource. I would also recommend for each of you in your respective categories to reach out to those ag commissions, be it the Washington Apple Commission or pears or blueberries or U.S. Meat Exporters Federation. There are a lot of different trade associations that are actually very active in this market and who have a very good platform for you to reach out to develop and expand your sales into this market here. I just highlighted some of the labeling requirements. There are some exemptions for foods that's being sold here for processing or being repacked. But just expect that if you're going to be selling, you're going to have a very detailed labeling of your product, all the names of the additives, country of origin, and expiration. That's very important here. Likewise, MRLs, minimum residue levels, they're very sensitive to that here. And I want to mention that just this week alone, it was reported that 20 tons, I believe, of Fuji apples from Costco were seized at the border because of fungicides, which exceeded the levels accepted by the Taiwan border customs inspectors. And this is the second consecutive week that Costco shipments have been seized. So that's something you need to be aware of. Typically, random inspections will run from anywhere between 2 to 10%, but you can expect that once you start seeing violations, it's going to ramp up to between 20 to 50%. So your importers should be working closely with these quarantine officials, so they should be able to notify you when there's any increased inspections, which you need to be aware of in case you want to hold off or wait, or provide all the necessary documentations and inspections from your end to make sure you can minimize any sort of delays at the border when they reach the Taiwan market. And so, as I mentioned, you can see the screenshot of the news article that was reported on the 31st. Likewise, 2 weeks ago, there was a new report that food marketed for babies are going to face stricter regulations. So you may think, oh, well, it doesn't necessarily apply to me. So how they define food targeted at babies: if your product packaging has an infant or has the words infant or baby or anything related to that, it will now be facing stricter regulations. And part of the reason why is because they did a inspection of baby foods, mainly a lot of rice products, and they found high levels of toxins such as cadmium. And so because of that now, products targeting infants, toddlers, they're going to be facing increased inspection. The good news is that onions and blueberries are the last US products to be removed from the enhanced inspection list. So I would encourage Washington companies, those of you selling onions and blueberries, make the most of this. Keep selling more onions and blueberries. In December last year, I spoke with the US Blueberry Commission out here in Taiwan, and they reported that Taiwan now is the #1 market in the world for fresh blueberries. So that's a very, very good win, and that's a very good indicator of the demand. Please bear in mind, blueberries are sold at a premium here, but it goes to show you that the Taiwanese consumers are more than happy to pay that premium because they recognize the value. And of course, it also ties back to social media and the fact that if you look at any Instagram account now, there's someone who's got a photograph of some acai bowl with lots of blueberries on them, or blueberry shakes. So social media is certainly a very significant factor helping to promote and generate awareness among consumers of US products. So just to give you an idea of sort of the general tariffs for US agriculture and food products, you can search for the tariffs on your own at the Customs Borders website. But as you can see, it can range from 5%, 2% for dog and cat food, 15% for frozen or chilled potatoes. I think Emily pointed out that seafood still has continued strength despite the tariffs that we see here. Overall, ATO has been doing a great job of minimizing and lowering or removing tariffs. So this is a net positive trend that Washington ag exporters should take advantage of. Well, of course, with that said, you have to bear in mind our competition. #1 would be New Zealand, which has that FTA. And so by 26, they are going to see across the board tariff-free access to this market. So that's something you need to be cognizant of as you position your product in Taiwan. And so this is the website, the Taiwan Tariffs database. They have an English website as well. You can go in, you can type in as you're doing some basic market research. I would start off by just going to the GAINS USDA FAS website that has the reports. Their reports are very detailed, and they'll include some of the tariffs and regulatory and compliance and labeling issues that your specific products may be facing in this market. So that as a basic starting point is a good way to get an idea of the opportunities for each and every one of your products. So entering this market, Emily made a good point of mentioning the US Pavilion. So ATO organizes the US Pavilion at both the Taipei International Food Show and the Taipei International Building Show for forest products. The show last year for the food show was postponed due to COVID, but it was postponed to December. Now, because of border restrictions, there were no international buyers that could come in and very few international exhibitors that traveled to exhibit. So with the scaled down show, the net positive was the US companies that showed up who already had reps in market, they were able to meet with an increased number of buyers. And one good example is anecdotally, so we had about 6 US states that were part of that US pavilion promoting products, a wide variety of products. You had states like Wyoming, Idaho, Missouri, Pennsylvania. But one of the states was mentioning that they've been sitting on barbecue sauce for at least 4 years. And for the first time, they got inquiries, and not 1 or 2. In their first 4 hours of the show, they had 20 inquiries for their barbecue sauce, right? This was more inquiries that they were expecting to receive over the 4-day period of that show. And so it turns out this trend was so new, it was actually restaurants, cooks, chefs that were coming up and asking for barbecue sauces because they were looking to change their flavor profile. And it turns out they're not using the barbecue sauces as is. They're actually mixing it in with their own secret sauces for their beef dishes. So a good place to go is to attend any one of these trade shows where the USA Pavilion is being organized by ATO. That's a great way to meet with buyers, agents, importers, distributors, and to get market feedback. That's very important, getting market feedback to see what the issues are, what the challenges are, and also what the opportunities are. So going forward, the next show here is in June of from 23rd to the 26th. If you're promoting forest products, that's December 9th through the 12th. So I would encourage you to get in touch with ATO and sign up for that show. These are very good shows, and they put in a lot of effort to make sure that a lot of buyers attend and visit and generate a lot of free publicity for the companies that participate. And likewise, with respect to our office, in April, the 14th and the 20th, we are conducting a showcase, agricultural and food products showcase. We're working with ATO. We're working with a whole host of local chambers of commerce to promote Washington products. There are 5 states that are promoting their products. We're one of the 5, and we're going to be meeting specifically and hopefully targeting specifically and attracting buyers from these associations that are promoting this to their memberships here in Taiwan. In addition, in September, there is a wine and liquor trade promotion that we've been invited to attend. So we would certainly encourage Washington companies with wine, liquors, beers, ciders to think about signing up to join this activity in September. So what are some of the main trends taking place? I pointed out some of the key demographic trends that are significant that you need to keep in mind. COVID has helped to accelerate this health conscious bias, but actually that's been happening for at least a decade now. Consumers have been looking to eat more healthy, live and improve their quality of life. Likewise, online shopping has been growing, and that's only been accelerated, and that's going to continue post-COVID as well. Emily also pointed out the organic sector. That organic sector opportunity, I think, is very significant, especially because of the new organic equivalence arrangement that took effect in May of last year. So you need to capitalize on this brand new development and get your products, which are USDA organic certified, out here in this market, because consumers are looking for cleaner and healthier products and organic products for a variety of reasons. It's not just health, but they're also looking for sustainable products that are being farmed in a sustainable way. And so the US is recognized as a leader. And so this is an opportunity for our companies to export their organic products here to Taiwan. Likewise, seafood is a large part of their diet. And a lot of the Taiwanese now are looking for new exotic dishes. And especially now because they can't travel with border restrictions in place, they're more open to imports. And so a lot of food processors, a lot of restaurants, a lot of retail channels are open to increasing their sourcing of imports into the Taiwan market, and seafood is one of them. And likewise, although we're not a major seafood exporter, we are growing, and so the opportunity is gooey duck, crabs, fish, preserved fish or prepared fish as well, oysters. So I would encourage you to look into the seafood market for those of you that have seafood products. Some of the major food processors include UniPresident, Standard Foods, Nanchao, Haesong, Lianhua. Taiwan's a major food processing. The big kahuna here is UniPresident. They are the largest food conglomerate in Taiwan. UniPresident also happens to be the master franchise agent for Starbucks. They also franchise the 7-Eleven stores. So they are a retailer in their own right as well. And so if there's anyone that you should target, I would certainly recommend that you reach out to UniPresident. They are a significant player in the F&B. They are the #1 F&B company in Taiwan. So with respect to food processing, that's about a $17 billion industry here. But they're also looking to bring in foods that can help them achieve their goals. And that is also to help them provide new, healthy, functional foods to their consumer markets. Likewise, there's a trend we're seeing towards direct importation. The reason for that is that food safety is a huge issue. So here in Taiwan, and I'm sure we see it in the news as well in the States, there's always some sort of food scare. And over the past decade, we've seen scares ranging from melamine in the milk, malachite green in the seafood, pesticides on the produce, God knows what in our toothpaste and drinks. And so that's only heightened awareness about food safety here in Taiwan. And it's actually only increased the demand for US products. So food processors are looking to source directly because they're looking to ensure food safety. There are some enterprising importers who are taking the initiative to actually address this concern by attaching QR codes to packaging for every single product. So that's something that you should be aware of, and that's something you should proactively work with your partners to make sure that there's clear labeling. There are ways that consumers, that food processors, retailers can identify and help their consumers identify, the source, the origin of these products, making sure that they feel confident and making that purchase of this product. Clean labels, the drive towards less additives is very important, and that's something that food processors are looking to achieve. And so that means cleaner, organic, healthier ingredients in their food process, packaged products. Of course, we're facing competition, from Brazil and Australia for wheat products and other bulk commodities. And with respect to dairy, that of course is going to be New Zealand. For wheat, as I just mentioned, if there's any one association you should reach out to, that would be the Taiwan Flour Mills Association. They represent all 20 flour mills here in Taiwan. And they are actually part of an industry group that goes on an agricultural goodwill mission, which I'll touch upon later on. So with respect to the retail landscape, the big players are 7-Eleven, Family Mart, High Life, OK Mart. Just these four account for probably 80% convenience store sales here in Taiwan. With respect to hypermarkets, the big box guys, that's Costco, Carrefour, and RT Mart. Supermarkets are being squeezed. They're being squeezed by the big box retailers, and they're being squeezed by the convenience stores. So we're seeing massive consolidation in the supermarket chain, and we're also seeing a shift now from large footprint to smaller footprint supermarkets integrated into local neighborhoods. So this is going to have an impact on retailers in terms of the channels that you are going to be targeting in Taiwan. The organic market, as I mentioned, the equivalence market, that's going to offer new opportunities. They're expecting U.S. organic sales to grow by almost 50%. So this is a significant market opportunity. There are some requirements, but you can get more details on the National Organics Program website. I've got the link at the attached in this PowerPoint, but I would check out. Of course, you still need to, some of the requirements include meeting Taiwanese labeling requirements. So even though you've got the organic certification from the USDA, you still need to adhere to all the labeling requirements in Taiwan. The dairy market, milk, butter, these are growing markets because they've enhanced and improved the labeling. It's improved the market for a lot of dairy products here in Taiwan. As Emily pointed out, fluid milk imports are very significant. If you've been to a Costco store in Taiwan, what's amazing is that Taiwan's Costco store will sell two types of milk. They'll sell the local brand of milk by the liter, and then they'll also sell the import milk by the gallon. And that gallon of milk sells out before the local liter, right? Every time I show up, I can't get my favorite milk, and it's Hood milk that they're selling here in Taiwan, right? Hood milk from Massachusetts. So this is incredible. Consumers can't get enough of U.S. milk. So I encourage you, this is a great market. With respect to Washington State products, specifically, as you can see, we rank in the top 10 for the majority of the products, be it apples, beef, potatoes, onions. So these are very strong markets for our agriculture and food products. Seafood, we're in the top 20, but we expect that should continue to grow as more consumers cut down on a lot of other meat products and shift to seafood products going forward. Some of our competitors, obviously, China because of its proximity, Japan, Thailand. Interestingly enough, some of the seafood that Costco is selling is actually being sourced from Thailand. I won't go through the detailed metrics, but beef sales are very good. We've got the fresh fruit market. Emily pointed out that Taiwanese consume on a per capita basis the largest amount of fruit. That's actually about 102 kilograms versus the global market average of about 72 kilograms. So yes, they love eating their fruits and they can't get enough of US and especially Washington fruits. Taiwan's a significant market for Washington cherries, apples. So I would encourage you, for those with fresh fruits, Taiwan's a good market to package and promote, including grapes, peaches, nectarines, pet foods. So obviously, COVID has accelerated pet adoption, but because of the trend towards childless families, that trend was already well in place. And so pretty much everyone's either a dog or cat owner here, and they're treating their pet as a extension of their family. And because of that, they're buying premium quality pet food. Pet treats especially are seeing significant demands here in Taiwan. So it's quite impressive to see how they treat their pets here in Taiwan. Pet supplements are growing as well in this market. Tree nuts. So I just wanted to bring out tree nuts. We don't necessarily export tree nuts, but a lot of the tree nuts are being used in food processing, be it bakery, which is actually maturing, but where they're being used now is actually as snack foods. So for those that are exporting trail mixes, Taiwan is consuming a lot more nuts now because consumers are eating healthier and demanding healthier snacks for consumption. And that's also being driven by the fact that they're traveling and going outdoors more often now here in Taiwan. So they snack all day long, though, as Emily pointed out, 24/7. They have night markets here. They don't sleep enough, but they certainly get enough to eat. And of course, the most versatile is going to be, almonds, but nuts and pistachios, pecans. They're all consumed as snacks or integrated into the baking items here. So of course, cider, it's a very, very new market here, but it's, I think, going to grow in tandem with craft beers. As Emily pointed out, craft beer market is very strong. In fact, I believe there's a home brewers association with over 10,000 members. Some of the players now in the craft beer markets are actually starting to get into the cider market, one being the Taihu brand. And Taihu, which is a local craft beer brewer, they're already selling their beers in the US. So the craft beer makers here are establishing themselves. They're winning international recognition, but now they're introducing their own brand of cider. The foreign brands that dominate are Strongbow and Somersby. And so obviously there's a lack of awareness. There's a lack of preference. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to come out here, do taste testing, and introduce your brand and your product to this market. A lot of it is being driven by the females and younger drinkers who are more apt to drink sweeter flavors. And they're looking to consume craft beers and ciders because they're hoping to engage in social functions, but not get drunk, but have something with low alcohol content. They just want to drink healthy. They want to drink higher quality alcoholic beverages. So we're actually seeing an increase in cocktail drinks. So I think for those of you selling gin, this would be a good opportunity for you to tap into the demand. I should point out, because of COVID, there was no lockdown. So bars and nightclubs have been operating, and they're packed and they're drinking. So unlike other markets or in the US, yeah, nightclubs and bars have been open here in Taiwan. So that's very, very impressive. The beer market size has been growing. Imports have been growing quite well. So that should afford opportunities for Washington hops. Of course, market barriers include education. So it's a matter of doing a lot of outreach to the brewers here, educating them on different applications. That's going to be key to driving and increasing imports of Washington hops here in the Taiwan market. This is the tariff code for the hops, but you can find it on the U.S. Customs website. Sorry, the Taiwan Customs Bureau's website. The resources, as I pointed out, the GAINS website, USDA National Organics Program website. These are great resources to get more detailed information about specific food categories that you're targeting, market reports that you're looking at for your products, and of course, especially for the new organics equivalence agreements. So post-COVID, yes, Taiwan is open, and it's been open throughout this entire pandemic in the past year. I want to give you an example. So Humble House, they reported recently sales. So Humble House has their own chain of hotels. They also franchise the Meridian Taipei, the Sheraton Hotel. They have hotels not just in Taipei City, but outside Taipei City. And of course, they suffered a huge hit because there was a huge plunge in foreign business travelers. However, if you notice in bold, restaurant revenues were resilient. And so they adapted to this by placing an emphasis on smaller gatherings. In addition, they plan to double down on food and beverage. So that's interesting. I think we've seen this across the board among all the hotel chains, and that is they expect to double down on food and beverage. And so there's an opportunity in the food service sector for Washington products to target the hotels. They are a significant channel for high-end products, high-end wines, alcohols, and foods. And so they're a great way by educating the chefs, targeting them to promote high-quality premium Washington products. And in addition, the hotel and restaurant sectors are very active in conducting themes. So I know ATO is always very active in conducting with in coordination other ag commissions but you'll notice that some of these ad commissions are conducting television programs where they're educating chefs and consumers how to cook with US ingredients. So this is another way that they're able to educate and build awareness of integrating US ingredients, Washington ingredients into the cooking. And so the fact that the hotels, despite the drop in foreign business travelers, outside of Taipei, you can't get a room. I mean, I've tried booking a room outside of Taipei. It's booked up. The only time I'm able to get a room when I'm traveling outside of Taipei is on Sunday night and Monday. That's it. You can't book it any other time of the week. I don't understand it. People don't seem to be working. But yeah, it's just maximum occupancy outside of Taipei, and all of them have raised their room rates as well. So domestic tourism is booming here in Taiwan. So consumers are going out, they're spending, and they're spending a lot on food. So we expect this trend to continue. And so a lot of hotels and food service sectors are also expecting this trend to continue. I want to take a couple of minutes to just talk about UniPresident. They are a giant in this industry. So UniPresident is not just a food processor, they're also a major retailer here in Taiwan. 7-Eleven alone has 6,100 stores as of February 28th. So just imagine if you had one bottle of gin in every single store at a 7-Eleven, and they sold one bottle in each store a week. So you can now imagine the impact of this one single channel here. And so 7-Eleven, UniPresident, they are usually driving a lot of the trends here because they are extremely receptive to consumer developments. So I've highlighted some of these developments here. And you'll notice, zero additive, vegetarian, microwavable, convenient features. They're looking to meet the increased demand from childless couples, childless families, the aging population, and of course the laziness factor. People just don't want to spend too much time getting their lunch or their breakfast. And so convenience is very important. Ready-to-eat meals are very, very important. Likewise, consumers' preference for exotic dishes. Consumers want to eat new and novel products. They're very open to new and novel products here in Taiwan. Likewise, they're looking for higher end products, and they're trying to emphasize product differentiation. And so there's an opportunity for Washington products to bring in your new products, your differentiated products into this market. With respect to bakery, they're trying to emphasize healthy ingredients. And they're also delivering their stories through social media. So I want to go back to ATO's effort now to help the cooperators here using their platform to promote US products through social media. This is very important. So ad commissions, industry not only needs to take advantage of this, but each and every one of your companies and businesses, at a bare minimum, you need to have a web presence, and you need to have a social media presence in the local language. If you're not online, they're not going to find you. You don't exist. So at a bare minimum, you need to think about having a website in the local language, or at least a landing page, and a Facebook and Instagram, and let them know that you're out there so that you can be found by not just the food companies, but also consumers and users. Likewise, in terms of seasoning, they're looking for products with higher price, higher value, and so hence less sugar, salt, organic, zero additives. But this is what the largest retailer, 7-Eleven chain store, food processor in Taiwan is looking to deliver on. So this is what you need to be looking at when you're thinking about packaging and positioning your products here in the Taiwan market. Frozen meat. So more people are cooking at home, interestingly enough. Although there were no lockdowns, people were socially distancing and spending more time at home. And so we've seen that mid-end restaurants were suffering, but high-end restaurants were doing very well. Low end are doing well because a lot of people are just ordering online. Food Panda, Uber Eats here in Taiwan. Most of the retailers have their own e-commerce platforms, and so they're integrating that with the shopping experience. People can buy and just pick up very easily and very quickly at their neighborhood convenience stores. But because they're also cooking at home, they need products that have a longer shelf life. And so frozen now actually has more appeal to consumers. But these are frozen products that have to be of the highest quality, especially if you're looking to sell, seafood here in Taiwan, because Taiwan here is a seafood kingdom. They are a fruit kingdom as well. But we do see demand increasing as more people cook at home and need longer shelf life products here. With respect to beverages, there's a trend towards actually healthier drinking and non-alcoholic beverages. But as I pointed out, a lot of the consumers are drinking lower alcohol content beverages, and so they're also looking at more data transparency and making sure that there's environmentally friendly packaging. So that's another consumer demand and another way that you can position your product here in Taiwan. With respect to commercial feed, pet owners, obviously, they're treating their pets as members of the family. They're looking for ready-to-eat products for their pets. Convenience stores, they are not what we would envision them. So I know back home in the States, going to a 7-Eleven is just a matter of picking up a pack of smokes, maybe some Slim Jims and a 6-pack of beer. No, the 7-Eleven stores, the convenience stores here, you can do everything. This is truly one-stop shopping. You can get airline tickets. You can get your high-speed train tickets. You can get, you can pay all your utilities. You can pay government bills here. As you can see, they offer in-store dining. These are very nice environments. And they're also partnering with key brands. So Heineken partnered with 7-Eleven for a themed store. Disney, yes, and if you'll notice, there's a Maserati themed 7-Eleven. They've partnered with Domino's to have Domino's in store so they can see them preparing their pizza for takeaway. So don't worry. I know a lot of people will think, oh, well, we can't sell in Taiwan 7-Eleven because, it's a low-end channel. No. If Maserati's, comfortable partnering with 7-Eleven, your brand should too. And considering the scale that convenience stores have in Taiwan, this is a very viable channel for your brands and for your products. But with that said, you need to be mindful of the packaging. As you can see from the stores here, there's a lot of different products, from all the tea drinks, milk drinks, all the flavored milk drinks, the snack drinks. With respect to snacks, you can see they have a lot of healthier snacks here. And of course, they've had their candies and candy bars. But they also have higher end chocolates that they're selling, imported products that they're selling in the convenience stores. I pointed out ready-to-eat meals. If you look on the right-hand side, on the third row, every single dish there, I believe, has cheese. So they've got cheese on just about everything. They sell ready, hot cooked meals. If they're not, they're ready to be microwaved in store and taken away for eating. So gifting is another unique aspect of Taiwan's culture. They gift not just on holidays, but they gift at pretty much every social occasion and every business meeting. So think about packaging your product for gifting. It's a very important sector, gifting, and is definitely underestimated. But there's a huge opportunity for gifting and gifting your products, fruits, vegetables, even mushrooms. People will gift mushrooms here, seafood. These are gifted. Chicken essence. People gift chicken essence and and health products. So these are very popular items to be gifted. So any single product that you have in mind can probably be gifted here in Taiwan. E-commerce, it's time to embrace online shopping. You need to work with your partners to make sure that you have an online presence. This is very important for discovery. A lot of consumers now are not just using their laptops, they're actually using their phones. And the top players are PC Home, Letian, Shopee. Shopee is very impressive. Just in the last 2.5 years, they've come out of nowhere to be a top 3 player. They focus on just being mobile only. And so they've been very aggressive in their promotions. And because of that, now they are a top 3 player. But as you can see, the online shopping channels here, they're selling fresh food. The apples here, these are Washington apples. They got US beef. So people are sourcing food products online. Letian, they've got cider products here, milk products, dairy products, organic products. Shopee, they've got a range of fries, organic, packaged, snack foods as well. So it's time for you to embrace online shopping and make sure that your brand is represented, at least for shopping awareness and discovery. Costco, for the longest time, Costco refused to have an e-commerce site. Why? Because obviously a key part of their success is in-store discovery. They want you to walk around their warehouse, but they've also caved in and now they have online shopping. And here's a range of products that they carry. Frozen seafood. You notice a lot of salmon products being sold here. The shrimp products that are being sold here. So some of these products are from the US. Some of them are actually from either Korea or Thailand, as I mentioned earlier. So this is an interesting development. What you may not be aware of is the fact that I believe between 60 to 70% of Costco products in Taiwan have to be sourced from Costco USA. What that means is that there's 30 to 40% that Costco Taiwan can source directly. So if your products are not being sold in Costco USA in America, you have a second chance of selling to Costco Taiwan here. So Costco Taiwan, with that 30 to 40% leeway, are able to identify products that maybe aren't being sold in the US, but have an opportunity here in this market. In addition, they're not only sourcing directly with manufacturers in the US, but they're now starting to source products in Japan, South Korea, Thailand, and Southeast Asia. So these are competitors. So you'll have to keep that in mind as you think about the kinds of products that you want to market. But check out their Costco Taiwan website. It's a good idea of what's selling, and they'll tell you what's new and what's very popular and what's sold out. So that can give you an indication of the products and the product opportunities here, as well as, of course, the price point of these products. And bear in mind, this is not just for consumers. A lot of food service sector restaurants and hotels will actually source from Costco because they offer unbeatable prices. And bear in mind, all of their products are imported. So what's impressive is that the Taiwanese are more than happy to pay a premium when they can recognize value. And they recognize value from Costco and the products that Costco delivers. There's also pet food here, and they also happen to sell dog chews. This, I believe, is actually from South Korea. So there's opportunities here for pets, pet treats as well. I mentioned supermarkets and the trend towards consolidation. So in December of last year, Carrefour announced that they were going to acquire the Welcome supermarket chain. So now, overnight, they have 199 new supermarkets that they're going to integrate. The Carrefour sign that you see here, this is one of the new supermarkets that they converted. Originally, this was a Welcome supermarket. It's now been converted to a Carrefour supermarket. The difference being is these supermarkets are typically integrated into the neighborhoods. This one in particular is in the basement level of an apartment block. So as you'll notice, this store has generally just 3 main aisles. That's their entire fruit and produce section right there in that one corner. Likewise, as you look down to the bottom, that's their entire alcohol section here, bakery section. if you notice on the bottom left-hand corner, and if you look at the gentleman's basket, their shopping baskets are very small. So you have to keep in mind your packaging, your promotion when you're selling in the supermarkets, because they're moving towards a smaller footprint in neighborhood supermarkets. And that trend now is growing very, very, very rapidly as consumers are shopping closer and they want convenience. And so they're looking to meet all of their daily needs in one stop around the corner from where they live. This is a Carrefour hypermarket. You'll notice the larger checkout, the bigger aisles, the far larger produce sections. So Carrefour has about, I think, 64 hypermarkets in Taiwan. These are the big box stores in Taiwan. They don't expect to see that growing as quickly as the smaller footprint supermarkets in the neighborhoods, but these are still significant drivers of sales for Carrefour, the hypermarkets. As you can see here, they carry a range of products, and they're just as packed on weekends, and they offer a range of imported products. PX Mart is the largest supermarket chain here in Taiwan. What's interesting though is they're also feeling the pressure, and they're starting to move up the value chain and increase the quality of their storefronts and store formats, and shrink, in fact, some of their footprint as well. You'll notice this is the new PX Mart. They got the fake wood flooring, they got the soft wood, they got the soft lighting here, but they offer a range of products here. And again, you'll notice everything is sort of packed in here, but it's all packaged very nicely, individually wrapped fruits and vegetables. So consumers want to shop more conveniently. So supermarkets are responding to the pressures from the big box retailers like Carrefour, hypermarkets, and Costco, and of course competition, especially from the convenience stores. So again, 7-Eleven, the convenience stores, they're everywhere. As Emily pointed out, they literally bookend every block in the city, and they're ubiquitous. They're everywhere, and people go there to do everything. So the trend towards higher end supermarkets, Breeze, City Super, they often sell high-end premium imported products, and you'll notice the format. It's very spacious. It's not as crowded as some of the other discount retailers. Their products are all high-end, all premium products here in their channels. And so if you look at the packaging, it's very small. They're packing 3 onions or 2 potatoes in one pack. They're selling a lot of fruits in small gift packages, and so there's a lot of opportunities for you to target these luxury supermarkets. Simple Mart is the fastest growing supermarket chain, and they have the smallest, I would say, footprint of all the supermarkets. If you'll notice their checkout counter, if you notice their aisles, they've packed everything cheek to jowl, and you've got condiments next to cleaning products, and they got their sample displays of rice and wines and fruits. These are extremely compact formats, but because they're so conveniently located, they're very attractive to consumers. And as I mentioned, the aging population, they don't want to walk that far. They want to pick up daily necessities. No one has a pantry because everyone lives in an apartment. And so hence, they're looking for smaller packaged products that they can pack into their refrigerators. This is the entire frozen food section and chilled food section at the Simple Mart store. So they're very small, but they're very convenient. And Simple Mart specifically targets discount shoppers. A growing trend, as we mentioned earlier, organics. And responding to that is the chain of organic stores here. Cotton Fields is one of them. And if you'll notice, a lot of the organics process has mainly been processed foods. The fresh produce that they sell are domestically sourced organic produce, but it's juices and nuts. that they're selling. Cotton Fields is also offering a lot of food tasting. Food tasting is a very common feature at a lot of these retail outlets. Costco has been wildly successful. Long lines of people trying to taste new products from the US. So I would encourage you, for you that are promoting new products, new drinks, food tasting, not just in the retail outlets, but also for business to business, for chefs, for importers. You need to provide ample opportunities for tasting. We've spoken with a number of Washington beef suppliers who mentioned that they're regularly doing outreach. They'll book a hotel room, they'll prepare beef, and let their importers or let the hotel chains or hotel chefs or retailers taste and test the products, and educate them on the quality and the differences between their products and other competing products. So this is one very good way to educate not just your channel, but also the end users in Taiwan. Santa Cruz is another chain of organic stores. Soy-based products are very popular. Vegetarian products are very popular. Taiwan's a very significant vegetarian market. And so that's an opportunity for those of you selling organics and selling plant-based products here in Taiwan. There are a number of chain stores specifically targeting organics. And here again are some of the range of products that they're selling. They're also looking to bring in new and novel products as they're looking to expand the range of products that they sell. I wanted to also take some pictures of some Washington products that I found here, US products and foreign products. And notice the packaging here. These are all either individually wrapped or wrapped in very small packages. With respect to trail mix, I believe there's a company online that's selling trail mix. I found at the Bree supermarket, you've got companies importing and selling German, European trail mix in Taiwan. The big kahuna for snack foods for nuts is actually Viva Nuts. Viva Nuts has 60% market share. So they are a significant importer of these nuts, and they're being repacked into their own brands, and they're ubiquitous. If you go to any convenience store, any supermarket, you're going to find Viva Nuts everywhere. With respect to canned fruits, it's a very niche market. Peaches, pineapples, coconuts. There isn't really that much demand, but where there is, it's probably in the baking section. They're trying to lower their cost of baking. So I think maybe frozen fruits and some canned fruits may have opportunities in the baking section. Washington potatoes, 7-Eleven will actually, Family Mart will actually even sell a baked potato, warmed up for you at the 7-Eleven store or a Family Mart store, ready to go and eat. So with respect to condiments, beers and ciders, there's a range of competitors here that are already on the shelf selling their products here. So you need to think about how you're going to position your products. So working with your agents, working with your partners, your distributors here, you need to be proactive and help them. Some of the importers that we've talked to mentioned that they had to build their own web presence. They had to build their own social media presence. And the reason being is because they work with a number of different partners in Taiwan, no one partner is going to take on the responsibility of building the brand because they realize everyone else is going to benefit on it. So why would I invest my time and money building that? And so you will probably need to take on the responsibility of helping to consolidate that. What's interesting is that in terms of building up their brand and their e-commerce presence, these exporters are using that as lead generation tools. And so whenever they get these leads, whenever they get these inquiries, they're just funneling it to their partners in Taiwan. So they're not actually selling direct, despite the fact that they're the ones managing this online presence. They're managing it, they're coordinated, they're still controlling their own brand and branding. So I would encourage for those agricultural commissions that are out here, you need to have an online presence. Hence, you need to work with ATO with their new initiative and their new social media platform. For food brands specifically, yes, at a bare minimum, you need more than just a website. You need a social media presence in the local language to help make shoppers and food companies and distributors find your products more easily online. Here's a range of other products. What's interesting is more people are snacking on healthier snacks. So you got snack bars like Nature Valley, lots of health and functional food like these bottled essences. They're incorporating a lot of ingredients from the US as well. Pet foods, they're being sold at convenience stores. Pet food, pet treats are growing in popularity. But if you look, these are the wine selections, alcohol selections at the convenience stores. So these are still very viable channels for those of you thinking about selling into the convenience store channel. And again, packaging for gifts. Gifting is huge. So think about packaging, not just alcohol, but a lot of other products to be sold in the convenience stores. Because honestly, I'm also one of these consumers who, on a way to a business meeting or a social function, I'll pick up some food or fruit or alcohol that's been gift wrapped, and I can bring it at any one of these functions. So keep in mind that the gifting is a very, very important market. Likewise, frozen food in the convenience stores, they even have their own dedicated fridge at the convenience stores for craft beers. So hops is going to grow. The market and the demand for Washington hops should increase. So having a presence out here, educating the brewers about uses of hops. You'll notice a lot of the chilled frozen foods here are actually ready to eat. They're microwavable. So consumers are looking for healthy but convenient options. So there's a photograph here. So I had some friends who went out holidaying, and this is what the hotel served for breakfast: aged beef and lobster, or porridge with lobster, shrimp, oysters, abalone, clams. So La Dolce Vita, consumers now are living the good life, and I'm hard pressed to think that after a year they're gonna give up their improved quality of life. So I think there's going to be increased demand for more and better quality products from the U.S. We went to a visit at a wholesale market, and these wholesale markets, so the Taipei city government and the new Taipei city government, they all have their own wholesale markets. This helps towards food price stability. But you'll notice a lot of these importers who come in and attend these auctions, and they take place in early hours. We're talking, starting at midnight through 4 a.m. They shut down around noon. That's when we came in, so hence there was no traffic at this time. But these wholesale markets were telling us that when the products come in, a lot of the importers are looking to repackage them into smaller packages. And so that's something that they keep asking for. So we spoke with a Washington apple importer, and they said that I think between in the first quarter alone, between 600 to 800 containers of Washington apples have been brought into Taiwan. And apparently this year, every apple importer is losing money because apparently they're flooding in way too many apples into this market. Not just Washington apples, but markets from Japan and other states as well. But he keeps saying that, they keep packing 10-pound packs of Washington apples. I wish they would use 5-pound packs because they're less easily bruised and they're more easily shipped and more easily divided up when we're distributing it to our retailers or food service companies, partners here in Taiwan. So as I mentioned, Taiwan had no lockdown. The CDC provided their guidelines, and most consumers and businesses adopted these guidelines, but there were no hard lockdowns. The photographs you're seeing here were just from a couple of months ago. Downstairs from my office, there's a comic convention. As you can see, they were packed like sardines trying to get into the show. Taiwan has been very successful. ATO has been great in organizing the USA Pavilion. And if you notice at the USA Pavilion, at the food show, at the building show, it was absolutely packed. Taiwanese could not wait to get out and attend, these large-scale functions. And so for those companies, those ag commissions that are out here taking advantage of these exhibitions, taking advantage of these opportunities, having boots on the ground, this is yours to take advantage of because it's taking place, it's happening. So you need to be out here. You need to appoint someone out here who can help you leverage the fact that it's an open and bustling market here. On the bottom left-hand corner, that's a photo of U.S. Meat Exporter Federation. They've been very good at educating the market. They had a 3-story riverboat cruise where they cooked all manners of beef, barbecue, in soups, in salads, but they were educating their key partners, restaurants, importers, distributors, chefs on U.S. beef and the qualities of beef. Wildly successful program. So I would encourage you to have a presence out here if you're an ag commission. At the food show, we spoke with a distributor, a major distributor of U.S. beef, and they were telling us that they saw significant increase in high-end premium beef products. Consumers are not traveling, and so they're spending more on higher quality products here in Taiwan, and they're expecting that trend to continue. Likewise, one of the leading food exporters was also telling us that they're seeing significant increase online as well. And so they've been forced to move online and build a presence online. One of the Washington State beef exporters we spoke to said that, in the first quarter of 2020, they did, a couple hundred kilograms of U.S. beef. I would say approximately 300. Starting in April of 2020, they saw 300 kilograms in 1 month. It became a regular, so there was a 3-fold increase, after Q1 when everyone had socially distanced. After that, then demand just exploded. And so they've seen sustained demand. So there's good opportunities for U.S. products. I mentioned the agricultural trade mission earlier. And so every 2 years, the Taiwan government will organize an ag mission to the U.S. It's a huge mission. And they'll visit anywhere between 9 to 11 states. And so they'll split up that group and they'll visit a number of different states. But I would encourage those ag commissions listening in to get in touch with WSDA, get in touch with my office, try to see if you can get your ag commission included in that itinerary. Because normally that mission will sign a couple billion US dollars worth of ag purchases. So I believe the last mission signed about 560 million just for wheat alone. And so the Taiwan Flour Mills Association, which represents all flour mills in Taiwan, is obviously the #1 channel for U.S. wheat. So I would recommend that you get in touch with them and make sure that you get your ag commission included, and hopefully our state included on that mission. And this year is another year where they should be planning that because of COVID. We're still waiting to learn what format, if any, that they will take, or if they're going to postpone it to the next year. Going forward, as I mentioned, this month we have 2 events, one in Taipei, one in Taichung, where we're going to be promoting American agricultural and food products. 5 states, including Washington, New Mexico, Idaho, Missouri, Wyoming, are going to be promoting a range of food and agricultural products. And we're working in close coordination with ATO. We're working with TITRA. We're working with the Importers Exporters Association of Taipei and Chambers of Commerce in Taipei and Taichung to target their association members to identify, key buyers, importers, and distributors. Likewise, in September, there's a wine and liquor promotion event being organized by the Importers Exporters Association of Taipei. It's the largest event of its kind. So I would encourage wine liquor companies to think about signing up for this event in September 13th. Last but not least, please feel free to contact Lisa or myself if you have any specific questions about the market or market opportunities or activities. So thank you again. I realize I think I probably ran over my time. So with that, I will leave it and hand it back to Lisa. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you. We really appreciate this. Is really detailed and insightful market information. I think you almost covered every product sector. It's just amazing. Thank you for giving us the time and presenting for us. And I want to, for companies, and we also, our program also created the opportunity for you to meet with Sean for the one-on-one consultation meetings in order to specifically discuss your product, into Taiwan. So please feel free to, sign up ASAP. And I want to just quickly also go through the questions. Because earlier I dropped the line, so I remember that one feed company, they asked, the question is, they produce the organic, non-GMO premium animal feeds. Is there any interest in urban farming, raising chickens, little land available for agriculture over in Taiwan?
This is Emily.
So,
I answered that. Not really. It's not a thing here. There's no land. There's no space for it. I think people would be appalled if a chicken moved in next door. It's still a culture, unfortunately, where there is a distinct culture deviation between farmers and essentially the rest of the workers, especially white collar, blue collar. So no, urban farming is not a thing here. But I think I wrote down that name and contact and sent it to my staff already. So they'll be in touch about our pet food promotion, which we have probably late, like around the month of May, virtual pet food.
Yes, I have Sandra's company's information. I can also follow up with her as well. I will also schedule a call for Julie as well next Monday. Next question is, and I think Emily already addressed that questions in one of our company asked, 20 counts Fuji apples will be destroyed at the border, or they all returned back to the United States. And it's just Emily mentioned that it's up to the exporter what they want with the apples. Very likely they could have gone to another regional market like Hong Kong or mainland China. Do you also have other additional inputs to that question?
No, I mean, these things absolutely happen all the time, every market around the world. These things happen every day. So really our office would intervene and try to release the shipment favorably, which means into the Taiwan market, for instance. In other cases, it's just up to the exporter what they want to do. They're certainly able to send it to regional markets. Hong Kong gets a lot, but it's up to the exporter, or they can be returned back to the US. But if you do ever have a shipment stuck or delayed, or you think you might have, please reach out to our office. And that is absolutely that's a function we absolutely serve.
Right, sounds great. And then the last question is, does Taiwan use the China GACC list of exporters? I think Emily, also you addressed that as well. Could you just give us another?
Yeah, I texted my staff and they weren't aware of it. Taiwan does have its own customs list, so perhaps that's what you're thinking about. But no, we do not use the GACC, I believe, which was mentioned for China. But if you do have any of those technical questions, again, just contact us and we will be certain to get you the most thorough answer.
Thank you. Great. I don't see any other questions on the chat box. Is there any other companies, still having questions here? Please unmute yourself, and I would like to give you a couple seconds. No? All right. Again, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate our speakers time and also giving us such amazing presentations. Thank you. And then for companies, please feel, sign up our one-on-one consultations with Sean, and then we will follow up with all the webinar slides and also questions and the link information with you. With that, I'm going to wrap up this webinar. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.